if white men were 100% honest. Oh boy, here we go.
We brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and created a space for them to be completely honest.
Yeah.
What will be revealed when they take...
Everyone is racist, including me.
No. How do three agree?
Like, nobody wants to think of themselves as racist, and I don't think that I'm racist in the way that I think we think about racism, but I think I took the question as these like inherent biases that everybody has, and I think most of the time, most people are not aware of this.
It's weird. I think there's like this new generational divide of like, you are a racist or you said a racist thing. And I don't know where the
I feel like
line
there's a lot of,
is.
you
might
have a
say
lot of
something a little
stereotypes, but I don't know if that's
or
really
something
being
you don't
racist.
see as racist. Someone calls you out and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, apologize. And if you argue that point against them, then I would say you're a racist. But if you understand, you come to understanding, you learn, everyone should be able to forgive that person and be like, no, you made a mistake. People make mistakes. I don't know. I feel like it's
Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think a really important thing that kind of is tough with cancel culture right now is that road to redemption. And so after you've said something wrong, how do you make yourself right again in the public sphere? At least personally, I feel like
Sounds like he's
see that
talking
a lot
from
with cancel culture
experience.
is if someone makes amends,
Hey, yo.
there's now an acceptance like, hey, you did something wrong, but you're okay now, or at least better.
I think social media kind of incentivizes against redemption, and I feel like it's just outrage, and I do think people do
Why
like
don't you go to sleep,
the
dude?
rush of anger. I don't think people really believe in redemption anymore.
I guess disagree with the idea of racism as a binary. It kind of goes back to that like really old meme where like Skipper says like, we did it, Mrs. Obama, racism is over. The idea of a redemption is just like, all right, they've fixed their racism, in the sense that like, I think the redemption that our society is calling for is impossible.
I have struggled with my sexuality.
No? I feel like that's just a
felt
personal thing, though.
attraction to men really young, and I didn't connect to gay culture at all. And I was like, I'm either straight or gay. It can't be another one. So I very consciously
You can be
put myself in the closet, and I didn't feel confidence to like be my own person, obviously in high school. And slowly but surely, I started to come out to more people and talk about my experience and stuff. But people come out of the closet, that's one thing. That's the second step. The first step is like really kind of like acknowledging it and like loving yourself.
Wait, stop yawning,
and that
dude. Oh
was
my
the
God.
hardest part for me. And I'm pretty good now. I'm happy and bi.
Oh, yeah, it's
Now,
fine.
very comfortable with my sexuality, and I know it's a spectrum, but I think I'm, for the most part, straight. I struggled
For the most part.
depression
Hey, yo.
for a long time, and I think one of the side effects of that for me was I fell into an eating disorder, and I got really skinny, and because I was struggling with an eating disorder, it made me, for some reason, question my sexuality. And I understand how messed up
Wait,
that
what?
is now. I started to ask myself, why did you associate
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
one with the other? And I think it was because it's just not largely talked about with straight men that we can still struggle with mental health and eating disorders.
I've never heard anyone say that straight men can't what?
Of me walking in to my house after the first day of first grade, and I'm just like, hey mom, I think I have a crush on my friend. And my mom kind of laughed and she's like, oh, boys don't have crushes on boys. And I was like, cool, got it, awesome. Just put that in the back of my mind. And I'm still working with like the idea that if I have a crush on a man, that's not inherently disgusting, because what's more disgusting than a man wanting you? Or like you said, like connecting to the gay community, unless you fit like, it seems the tiniest of boxes, is really hard. And even now, like I went out last night and I had somebody that I kind of like caught my eye, but I had no idea how to approach that. It's like everybody else got like a manual and like 17 easy steps to not have social anxiety when in the club. And I'm just like, I guess I was sick that day. I didn't get that class. I didn't sign up for it on LinkedIn. Just, sorry, I'm using humor to cover it up.
No, it's like, I went up to a guy and said, you're so handsome. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like I'm an old woman. They're like, you're so handsome.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, obviously don't say that, but it's like, okay, but then what do you say? Because like, do I not think that he's handsome? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
Have you ever been confused by consent before?
No. How are,
There
wait,
have been
what?
instances where, you know, in terms of friends, relationships, whatever, I can go too far because I misinterpreted consent, and just because people seem comfortable with something, you kind of go along with it.
Yeah, I think the reason I said yes was just thinking very specifically about situations where both of us have been really drunk or something like that, where it's like, it's not one person's sober and the other person's drunk and the drunk person's saying yes, but if you're both drunk and both consenting and into it in the moment, and then the next day, like I've had like neither of us really consented. Is anybody in the wrong here? You know,
I don't think
and
anybody's in the
that's
wrong
kind of
in
what
that.
I thought of when I heard I've been confused about consent. It's not as much in the moment, but after the fact in that scenario.
Jack, that situation is pretty scary because you interpret it one way, and if someone was hurt and you didn't mean to do that, and you didn't take the precautions for that, you're still at fault, and that sucks. And I'm not saying that's your situation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like that's the kind of world we live in, where we can really
Well,
get in trouble sometimes,
obviously.
even when we don't mean to hurt others, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing about consent is it's not always just like this guy being like, oh, come on. Like, you know, there's such a finer line. There's so many gray areas that it's really important to have those conversations. because,
Yes.
there can be so many different
What?
scenarios that are still non-consensual, so.
Women have more power than me.
No.
Yeah, I definitely don't think women have more power, and I think some people might think that just because you're seeing a growing relative power that, you know, some men might not be used to. Now that women are kind of getting closer to being equal to some
Being
people that might feel like
closer.
they're getting more power and they might be more powerful.
What's-
And so I can understand why
what's
someone
not
might
equal?
you know,
What?
perceive that as relative, but absolutely I don't agree that like women have more power. I think we're getting closer to equality at this point where it's a work in progress.
I don't know. It's like a yes and no question. I was harassed
depends on,
by
like,
a
your
superior,
situation, I guess.
who was a woman at a previous job, like repeatedly harassed. I reported it to my boss, who was a white male, and he just laughed it off and said, you know, toughen up, Buttercup. When women are
Toughen up,
harassed, I think if
Buttercup.
I was a woman and I reported
Buttercup.
harassment,
Wait.
especially right now with Me Too and everything, CEO would see a huge red flag, a huge
True.
possible
Not wrong.
controversy, and like I know there's definitely, you know, ways when that isn't true, but
Not
for me
wrong.
it was just like
Most of the next question.
we don't care. You're a man. Toughen up. I don't give a shit.
What?
Like she's a woman. She can't.
I've had fantasies.
No. What? Put this man on watch list.
So I said yes because like I can't think of a specific time, but like I believe I have at one point. It's more like
What?
role playing under very strict guidelines. and
Role
with the
playing
understanding that my
rape?
partner will
Bro,
stop
you
if
have
I
a
ever get too
problem.
uncomfortable. In terms of like fantasizing about actually doing the very illegal and immoral act, no. But I think, you know,
Then you
like
disagree.
role playing or even like
But if it's
fiction you
role-playing,
would
it's
need,
not.
or even like
That's
to
still kinda
a
weird, though,
certain
I'm not gonna
extent,
lie.
As long as it's ethically
It's
made.
still weird.
Porn, like it's exploring that healthily, I think is valid. And it's something that I think I have done in the past.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I explore
No?
porn, but like personally, no. Like it freaks me out too much. You know, I do have like this kind of feel of wanting to be dominated by a man, you know, or a woman. That's more in porn than like in real life. I feel like I'd be freaked out in real life if that happened, but.
So in this situation where you're doing this, like with your partner that you stated, are you the person that is receiving this idea of
You're saying, am I playing the role of the
victim?
assailant or the victim?
Yeah, are you?
Okay. The role I am playing
Wait.
would be that of the
Oh, I
assailant.
thought you said the
You see
victim.
that.
Okay.
And my partner would be the victim.
That
Due to
is
like social anxiety
weird.
and like just a lot of things that keep me like a more like docile and submissive person. I like exploring a more dominant side via power
More
dynamics.
dominant? Yes, not that.
safe environment,
No,
obviously.
no.
When you're assaulted, like sexually assaulted, you don't have a choice in the matter. But when you are role playing it, you can say, you know, like a safe word, and that kind of, you have the control. But when it's robbed,
Right,
that
but-
control's robbed from you, it, you know, it messes with you. I think that's the distinction with the role play.
I feel like
No
we
shit.
kind of have a misunderstanding here. I at least think that it's really insensitive, at least, to be doing these role plays because you will never be able to feel what these people feel, and like it kind of it's off shifting to know that that's something desired. You know?
True.
And like I said, it is something like obvious. I've never experienced it, and so my fantasy kind of might come from like a position of privilege, and I think that's why I'd like to
What?
explore it in a healthy way to figure out like why exactly I feel that way. And there's
Explore
just,
it. I don't know if there's
from
a
the
healthy
outset,
way
even,
with
like,
that.
As I explained it,
I think the healthy way is to not explore it.
The way you're explaining it, though, like that's why I'm asking you questions because
Yeah,
I can
no.
instantly assume that you're a person. But now that I see the way you spoke to me, and you know, you obviously have some feelings about it that you've thought to yourself over time. So, like, I just want to
Yeah, no, I
hear
appreciate
that.
that.
And I think that the way we handled it is kind of a good way to communicate with others and
Okay.
understand it.
I've been
I
abused.
have been abused.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been.
I've been going through it. You go through it.
No, I think I've just been abused two ways, and abused is such a, again, like, can mean so many things. So I've been abused emotionally in a relationship, but not physically or sexually, but definitely emotionally. And then I've been abused as like an employee to an employer. Again, not sexually or physically, but just abused their power over me.
It's,
I
not really
I talked
abuse,
about
though.
I got harassed by an older female employee, and working through it. It's always a process. I don't know.
My family, we've endured emotional, physical abuse from my father, and I'm sure a lot
Jesus.
of people can, you know, attest and say the other same things. And he lives in a whole other country now, so I don't really talk to him. And I need that guidance. You know, when I'm going from 14 to 18 years old, that's like a really influential time. So it's really hard to have to deal with that on your own. The worst part was when I told him about some of the issues I had because I didn't have him because of the way he, you know, hurt me. He kind of just said, yo, that's your fault. Like, you can't blame me for that and put it on me. I think this kind of ties into, I want to bring it in how sometimes I feel like as a white man, I can't really talk about my problems because you're always been taught to suck it up. And I'm sure all of us have been told that multiple times in your life. Suck it up. Buttercup, I heard over here one. So yeah, for you, right? I remember with your boss telling you that, you know, that wasn't valid and that's not fair.
I don't think just because you're a man or white, you can't be abused. I was told that growing
Oh
up.
shit.
I think
What?
abuse kind of requires a power dynamic, and like even like all of us, we're white men. There's always somebody above us. There's a richer, whiter man, I guess. So like, what is exactly the top?
Why do you
Because there's always
instantly think
somebody
white
us
that's
who
above
abuses
you?
us, and
That's kinda
just
racist.
Not really talked about.
Really quickly, I just want to do one thing. There's going to be no talking. It's the last question I have, and you cannot elaborate on your opinion either way, is the era of white men is over.
What? What even is that question? That is a weird
Really wanted to
question.
elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is weird.